Hi, I'm Phil Hearn, and in this video I'm going to be talking about integrating MRDCL into your app and what this means. Now, in the previous video I talked about why this would be advantageous to you, and I touched on a number of points. There are hundreds of apps out there that can produce crosstabs, and all of them pretty much have their limitations when it comes to doing crosstabs. That's not true of MRDCL. It can produce pretty much any crosstab you want. So would you like your app to have no limitations? Most crosstab software can produce tables like this or even a chart like this. But if you want to be able to do anything and any type of tables, embedding MRDCL in your application will give you the power and flexibility you need. So I'm going to take you through some examples today so you can see it in action. So let's get started. Now here we have two examples of weighting, target weighting and rim weighting. Let's look at target weighting first of all, and here you can see we have targets for males, 20% for the first age group, 20% and 10% for the next, and the same for females. Now, MRDCL can handle far more complex data structures and weighting structures than this, but let's have a look at the output that we get. And you can see here's our data before it's weighted. Then we weight it, and you can see we've got 50-50, and if you look at these proportions, they're 20, 10 for each of the age groups, which means then we can apply that weight to brand shares and so on. Now let's have a look at rim weighting. And you can see here now we're weighting males and females 60-40 and the age groups 50-30-20. Again, all the tools you want are in MRDCL, and it can be far more complex than this simple weighting target procedure here for two variables. Again, when we weight the data, you'll see here that we've got our weighting achieving what we want, 60-40, 50-30-20, and then we weight the brand data. That will be applied to the brand data as well, the targets that are required. All very simple to do in MRDCL. Next, let's look at significance testing. MRDCL has all the tools you need to carry out significance tests, so you can, for example, show that this particular piece of data here, cycle on, is significantly different from the data in column E, which is 55 plus. So 26 to 19 is significantly different, and because it's in uppercase, it's 95% significant, whereas anything in lowercase would be just 90%. And you can change these figures at will. So I've got another table here where it's 80 and 99, and you can see there's some lowercase figures here where that figure is 80% significant, whereas the uppercase is 99. And you have all the types of significance testing you want using Z-tests, T-tests, overlapping formulae, and so on. There really are a lot of options there for significance tests. Next, let's take a look at some of the statistical options you've got in MRDCL. This is just a handful of some of the options that you have in MRDCL, but you can see that this rating scale here has been scored to 1, 0, -1 and 2, a very typical scoring, with the top two box and the bottom two box shown as well. But down here we have all of the stats that I've asked for: mean score, standard deviation, standard error, error variance, and so on. And of course there's more options that are available. Very easy to produce, again, just by calling an option to produce the ones that you want on a particular table. Now we look at this example. Now if you want a complex variable, that's very easy to do in MRDCL. You can have any level of complexity when it comes to specifying variables. So here we've got the different types of profiles. We've got splits on gender, whether they're owners of a fast wheel bicycle, and their age group, and it can be much more complicated than that. It allows us to give a profile of how frequently someone does something against all the different types of owners within their age and gender, and it can be far more complex than that, of course, as well. Again, we have significance testing showing here. In this example, we look at how you can net data together, and if you wish to, do calculations on that data. Net promoter scores are very common use of this, so where you want to combine people who are promoters in the 9-10 category with the passives also shown, and then those who are detractors, you can do that. So 27 plus 26 here is 53, and so on for the passives and detractors, giving us a net promoter score of 27 here, 53 minus 26. All these tools are instantly available in MRDCL. Now this example here shows how you can perform tasks outside of MRDCL so that something is automated for you. This is really useful when you're doing customer feedback type analysis. So we have a table here of brands that are ranked in descending order, with the top brand being brand 4 with 12%. Now below that we have another table which has combined these brands into luxury brands plus band standard, basic and budget bands. But the way that's controlled is externally via a spreadsheet. So let's have a look at that. Here's the spreadsheet that's controlling that. So brand 1 is a luxury brand, brand 2 is a budget brand, and so on. If we change this information here, so let's change brand 4 to a luxury brand, what will happen now? Now remember that figure there of 17% for a luxury brand, and let's just rerun our analysis. And you can see now the luxury brand has gone up to 29% when before it was a lower figure. So you can control MRDCL runs externally by having different sources of data that feed it. In this example, we now look at having nested information, and you can do this to any depth that you want to. So here we're showing the gender, age groups within the gender, but that could be 3 or 4 levels within region, within SEG and so on. So you can really build nested variables very, very quickly within MRDCL so that you can get in-depth analysis. When it comes to summary tables, MRDCL has all the tools you need. So if you want to see a summary perhaps of a rating scale by various brands, that's easy enough to do so that you can show the data side by side, comparing mean scores, doing significance tests as well if you wish to. Or you can produce that same information as a mean score summary. So these figures here match those figures there, but they're then shown as a summary by various demographics. Or you could do an analysis of top 2 box, so anybody who mentioned any of these brands as in either of the top 2 boxes. So getting summary figures and summary tables is very easy with MRDCL with all the flexibility that it offers you. In this example, we're looking at getting the density of answers that are given. So here we have a list of brands, but then we come to tabulate it down here by the number of brands they mention. So 4% of people only mention 1 brand, whereas 1% of people mention 8 or more. And you can see here we've got some stats as well, plus you can show the minimum, maximum, median, mode, any of those statistical options that are helpful to you in analysing your data. Now let's turn our attention to some of the big things that MRDCL can handle for you. So here we have a brand list that runs down brand 1, brand 2, going down to brand 40, 50. And you can see here now that we've got over 25 or 25,000 brands in this particular table. That's a big table. We can also show that data ranked. So here we now see the brands ranked. The brand 96 is the highest ranked brand. So again, ranking huge lists of data for you if you have that sort of data. And when it comes to big tables, MRDCL has no problem with that. So you can have thousands of rows by thousands of columns. And here we're doing an analysis of the overlap between different brands. So we have all the brands down the left-hand side again. And as we scroll across, you can see I've got all the brands going across the top. So a really big table if that's what you need to produce. And finally, here's some tables that really have large volumes of tables. I've actually got these tables here in a text format, which is one of the options you have. You can output tables as text, Excel, or as indeed as HTML. So this particular table here, there's thousands of tables here, and you can see I've got 5,000 tables in this volume here. If I scroll down on 102,000 records. So really no problem handling that. You can see that MRDCL processed all that in about 45 seconds. This is the time I actually closed the file, but that's the time it took to run, about 45 seconds to run. Well, I hope those examples have given you an idea of some of the things that MRDCL can do. It's by no means all the things that it can do. It really is just a snapshot of some of the tools you have available. And I haven't covered any of the data management and data merging tools that are already in the software. In practice, nothing is too difficult for MRDCL when it comes to tabulations. By embedding MRDCL in your application, you'll increase the power of your application and what you can offer customers. It's very easy to implement and it will save you on your development costs. So now is the time to embed MRDCL in your application. There really is a good solution for you if you want to extend the capability for tabulations. It will mean that you can offer more than your competitors once you've embedded MRDC in your application. Well, thank you for joining me. I hope you found this useful. Please talk to us soon and we can talk about ways that we can help you to make your software more powerful.